Today, I'm going to be going through the back issues number 5, Blood and Venom official announcement that includes the rewards and what we should expect chapter by chapter. That said, as always, if you'd like to skip the read aloud, there is a timestamp in the description. There will be a link for the rewards comparison spreadsheet that I use. It's very basic, but if you want to see it on your own, it'll be there as well as a link to the forum if you'd rather just read rather than listen to me read it to you. That said, let's dive right in. So Blood and Venom. Once upon a time, the Collector sent one of his newest agents into a dark corner of the battle realm, and the summoner alongside her. Her mission? Quell the evil within, no matter the cost. Introducing back issues number 5, Blood and Venom. Available 10 a.m. PT, August 12th, 2020. This event quest is a re-release of a classic quest, Blood and Venom. Much like with previous back issues, this is a chance for our summoners to relive a classic quest from our earlier years. Available in 2 difficulties. Classic difficulty is a recreation of the original quest, while not completely one-to-one, the layouts, difficulty, and dialogue are all the same as you remember. Take a stroll down memory lane and see how far you've come, or experience a quest you've never got the chance to play. Variant difficulty is a new spin on the quest, available for summoners level 45 and up. This version features extreme challenges, new opponents, some map layout updates, and champion requirements that will ask you to create a team of spiders, mystics, and symbiotes. Though the shadowy corner of the contest that Venom resides in is oppressive and wicked, the champions needed to fight there will be made stronger by buffs that target each group by chapter. Use these unique powers to put a stop to Venom and the other haunting foes that await. The Variant Challenge. With each back issue variant difficulty, we aim to shake up the summoner's roster, either through implicit or explicit champion requirements. This time, we're leaning heavily towards the lore of the chapter and restricting access to only hashtag Spider-Verse heroes, hashtag symbiote, and mystic champions. While you will be able to bring those champions into the entire quest, each chapter will feature global buffs that empower one of those select groups at a time. With so much new content released between the last back issues and Cavalier difficulty on the horizon, we've given the baseline difficulty of the variant difficulty a bump to keep pace with modern player strength. This also means an update to the rewards to keep them valuable to those same players. New buffs. Chapter 1. Great power. Each hit that a hashtag Spider-Verse champion avoids from this defender's special attacks with miss, evade, or dexterity grants them an indefinite responsibility passive. Only functions on hashtag Spider-Verse hero champions. Great responsibility. Upon reaching 3 responsibility, convert them into a great power buff lasting 10 seconds, making their attacks ignore armor and resistances and unblockable. You cannot gain responsibility while you have great power. Chapter 2, Arcane Torrent. For each buff on the defender, mystic attackers gain plus 25% ability accuracy, plus 10% attack, plus 25% bleed debuff duration, plus 25% armor break debuff duration, and plus 10% power rate. Chapter 3, Mitosis. Hits on this defender grant hashtag symbiote attackers an indefinite mitosis buff. Max stacks 10. Genetic recalibration. Hashtag symbiote attackers that dash back and hold back block for 1.2 seconds consume all available mitosis buffs into a genetic calibration effect for 1 second per buff consumed. Genetic calibration reduces defender ability accuracy by 1000% and increases attacker buff duration by 100% and heavy attack damage by 500%. Rewards. We'll talk about the rewards afterwards. There's a nice solid buff here, and so that said, I'll stick a timestamp for those of you who just want my first impressions. So yeah, this seems really, really neat. I think it's super important to think about the the champions that are affected by this, because it's a pretty small list of champions. So I'm gonna pull up Ant My here real quick. And we'll jump through, we'll pull up the symbiote champions here. So when they're saying symbiote champions, you're looking at Agent Venom, Carnage, Symbiote Spider-Man, Symbiote Supreme, Venom, Venom the Duck, and Venom Pool. So you're not really sitting on like the largest selection of champions here. Yes, you know, Carnage, Symbiote Supreme, Venom, and Venom the Duck are all powerhouses, but like, even with those powerhouses, that's still 4 champions. So do be mindful that if you're trying to cash in on that benefit from the global, that you are facing a bit of restriction just on Symbiote. From Spider-Verse as well, let's see, pop in there real quick. From Spider-Verse, I do believe they said specifically Spider-Verse heroes. And this is just Spider-Verse champions. I was kind of hoping that it would be just Spider-Verse characters, but specifically Spider-Verse heroes are the Spideys essentially right here. And again, powerhouses here, but again, we're looking at 7 champions. So I don't know if they're planning on releasing more Symbiote Spideys in the future, but heaven forbid, we know we have plenty of those as well already. But yeah, there are some really powerful champions here, but again, it's a little bit restrictive. And then just the opening of Mystic I thought was well played. We have had a tech variant, right? This is essentially their way of cheating in a Mystic variant. So overall, I'd say between the Mystic class plus the 2 Spidey restrictions and the Symbiote restriction, it's a pretty good access of champions. It really just comes down to what kind of nodes and fight mechanics we're walking into once they actually get there. And then as for the buffs, I think these all have really good potential. Like the Great Power one gives you essentially access to really good damage output potential. So that should be interesting, especially since there are definitely some really good heavy hitters in the Spider-Verse. It just partially comes down to whether or not this is something that's viable, like how much utility needs to be accessed when using these champions simultaneously. Because while it does give like ignores armor resistance and unblockable, if those are not the utilities you need in order to take down chapter 1, you might not be getting a ton of value here. So I'll just have to wait and see how the quest turns out. As far as chapter 2, I know that like the first gut instinct a lot of people have is they say, oh, Mystics, like why are you giving Mystics benefits for buffs on the defender? Because a lot of the Mystics really do like rip buffs off of the opponent, like they're huge on Nullify, especially like the big ones, Symbiote Supreme, Clairvoyant, Doctor Doom, Dr. Voodoo, etc. They're like really centric on that. But it's important to note like these benefits are just benefits. There's no like negative effect for nullifying buffs on the opponent. So if you let the opponent keep their buffs, you get some benefits. If you don't, well, you're a Mystic champion that's nullifying buffs and you're probably wrecking the opponent anyways. So I think this is a really good way to have a chapter that's like buffing up a lot of the maybe lesser used Mystic champions like Ghost Rider or Morningstar. I think is really going to be powerful here as long as you're not throwing your special 2. I think there's a lot of really good potential here to see other Mystics potentially shine. So I think that's really neat, and I think a big thing here is like the plus bleed debuff duration. That's huge for champions like Guillotine, especially with like the bonus ability accuracy, meaning you'll proc that more often, and if you've got her awakened, you'll proc the lifesteal more often. So I see a lot of potential there as well. And then chapter 3, I think this has probably got like my favorite one, if the, you know, options weren't so minimal, but you do have Venom and you do have Venom the Duck there, so having a huge attacker buff duration increase is major. You know, I don't know how major it is actually on those champions specifically, but maybe more major on yeah, I'm not really sure how that's going to plan out. We'll see. I'm interested to see how that pans out based on the champions. I know Venom's Furies are pretty low, so having those increased by 100% is pretty impactful, but I think the more impressive thing is the like crazy 500% heavy attack damage is going to give access to a ton of damage, which would be really cool for, you know, essentially hit the opponent 10 times, dash back, hold block, and then try to get as many heavies off as possible. That would be pretty cool. So now probably the thing most people are interested in is the rewards, and I have just a quick reward spreadsheet here of essentially what the rewards are now and then what the actual gains are, because like if you look at the rewards, it's nice and fancy, but it's important to like actually compare it to the previous variants to get an idea of what the actual buff was. So I've got some really awesome changes here. So the first one is that the 5-star rank 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 gems are no longer RNG. They are generic gems. And I should point out that the 3 to 4 gems are now also including up to 2017. So as long as it's a 2015 to 2017 champion, you will get 3 generic gems to rank them up from 3 to 4, which is just absolutely awesome. Not only are we getting a buff in the form of year uncapping, but we're also getting a buff in the form of just no more RNG. Probably like the worst part of doing variants is just getting bad luck there. Unfortunately, the 4 to 5 gem and 5-star awakening gem are both RNG. I don't mind the 4 to 5 gem being RNG. I think there's plenty of champions and use cases for a 4 to 5 gem. I just really wish the awakening gem was generic. There's not a ton of access to generic awakening gems for 5 stars at the moment, or selectivity there. At the very least, I would have liked to see like a 5-star Nexus awakening gem here, some kind of selectivity, because just the memeing and the negative connotation that the awakening gems give in variants, like legit have people accusing Kabam of rigging the crystals, and I just would have liked to see a little bit done here to maybe minimize that RNG, because like the likelihood of pulling the same class from multiple 5-star awakening gems when you do the variants is actually pretty high. So reducing that RNG meme roll would have been really nice. 5-star shard wise, it's only 5,000 shards more. I should note that if they're giving us raw shards, this is very different than the 5-star crystals they were giving us previously. But that is a nice little increase in 5 stars. I would have liked to see maybe 10,000 more, so that the quantity of 5 stars total goes from 2 to 3, or essentially 2 generic to 2 featured. But 5,000 more is still nice, especially given this difficulty. It is 3,350 more 6-star shards, which is noticeably a massive increase in 6-star shards comparatively, like raw percentages, so that's nice, can't complain. 3 tier 5 basics, which we didn't get before, and 25% of a tier 5 class catalyst. This is the big one. Like this and the 2 generics changes on the rank up gems is just absolutely massive. Definitely a lot of hype here. I do wonder if they're putting 25% of a tier 5 class catalyst here, how much harder this variance is going to be than the previous ones, because it does kind of make me like eyeball that and see maybe a potential for a significant increase in difficulty, but we'll have to wait and see. 5-star 6 stones, these are crystal still. It's only 18 more, not a crazy amount, but that's okay. We're getting access to more 5-star 6 stones and other content. It is almost 2 million more gold, so almost double, and I think only 60 more units. I'm pretty sure might actually be less, but units is tough to count because sometimes they're not always there. That said, overall, I'd say the rewards increase on a variant content, this is massive. Like, while I have some things I want, they've put some things in here I would have never even have expected to see in a variant difficulty, and that is really cool. So hype for Blood and Venom, can't wait. I probably won't be doing it on launch, but hey, if you do, try to keep the spoilers to a minimum, but feel free to share that salt. As always, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.